I'm going to make sure I'm at least 82 inches away from today's guest. Find out why. Coming up next on All American People. Welcome to All American People. Today we're filming in front of the Motorcycle of the Year as voted on by visitors to allamericancities.com. We're focused on becoming a world champion. And we're visiting with the 1986 World Heavyweight Champion, Reverend James Bonecrusher Smith. Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
And of course, for so many folks, they wonder, is it Reverend? Is it Champion? Is it James? Is it Bonecrusher? What do we use?
Champ.
Champ's okay.
But I'll answer into any of those.
And probably a few more.
Yeah.
And probably a few more. How exciting to get you in. Of course, to think about the true excitement that you've got so much going on right now, that you haven't hit any sunset and slowed down, that you're about as active as you've ever been.
That's exactly, and enjoying it, loving it.
And enjoying it, absolutely. A lot of folks at any point in life are thinking, golly, what am I going to do today? I mean, do I have to get up and do this? But enjoying it has really been a factor.
I think when you have something that you love and you're doing it, it just makes you more exciting to be around, and you enjoy your life.
You know, as I spent time early today at championforkids.org, your tremendous website that's got a ton of information about you, great bio page, not only a good contact us page, but a lot of information about upcoming events, particularly some in September. To see all the info on there, to think what all you've done, it is incredible.
Thank you very much.
It's very special. Share with viewers what it was like growing up in Magnolia, North Carolina.
Well, my parents, and I thank God I had both of my parents, and we were sharecroppers, and on a farm, tobacco farm, and we grew vegetables and different things, and had to work hard. And at the age of 10, I started running, and I was like Forrest Gump. I ran everywhere.
Now, was that something that they encouraged? Was this just
no,
something
I was a big crybaby.
Oh.
Unbelievable. So I was crying and running, and I know Mom and Dad said, this boy got to be crazy. He's out there just running barefoot, and he's crying. And what is he? I think God was moving through me then.
That is hilarious. Now, that is probably not a title you've answered to in the last 10, 20, 40 years, crybaby.
No,
that is not one.
That's right.
You know, to see that and that idea, of course, at school, I think you talk about it on your bio page there at championforkids.org. Corporal punishment was something that was actually utilized, not only in a household, but also even in school at that time. That is something that set the stage for a lot of what you've become.
That's exactly right. You know, I didn't want to go to school, and I was convinced I wasn't going to school, and my mom and dad was convinced I was going to school, so they had my older brother and sister drop me off at my second grade school teacher, and she had a fan belt, and it makes the car run, and it made me run too. And I believe it was the real first weapon of mass destruction.
The idea of spare the rod, that's a little different rod, but spare the rod, spoil the child was definitely something that was taught in the Smith household.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. Well, you know, as you think about moving forward, of course, was there anything in your youth that set the stage for you to really get active in the boxing world?
Well, you know, we had to cut firewood, and I was the guy that had to split it. My older brother, he would saw it down, and I would split it. So, you know, we see fighters doing a lot of photo ops, splitting wood.
Oh, yeah.
But we did it to stay warm. We had a wood heater, and we did it to stay warm. And so really, I was always pretty strong. And looking back, I was probably one of the strongest heavyweights in the division of all time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, as you look at that community, Magnolia, North Carolina, you see some of the, in a 10-mile radius, some of the most amazing athletes of all time. Michael Jordan coming out of there, of course. You don't think about Richard Petty as an athlete, albeit his ability to absolutely gauge what's in front of him and what's behind him. He truly formed, shaped up as an athlete. Lawrence Taylor, I believe, M.L. Carr and others who came out of that area. Mm-hmm. Was there something about growing up in that area that helped set the stage?
Well, I think family values was a good thing, and people just learn how to work hard, and I think no matter which area you come out of, work ethic has a lot to do with it.
You know, mentoring is something that you talked about, not having had an active mentor there, you know, someone that, had you had an active mentor, possibly having set the stage for you to go into pro athletes, pro football or basketball or otherwise, like so many of the folks around that area. Was there somebody that later in life that you thought of became that mentor that you missed there in Magnolia?
Well, you know, I think with my size, I probably could have been a great football player. And had there been at that time a guy, one or two people that had gone through the pros, and was a mentor for me, I think I could have done very well.
I think I saw, was it 1981 that you ultimately came across what became a real mentor? Was it Griffith, your
Emo Griffith, yeah. Well, I turned pro in '81, and I picked up Griffith probably a couple years after that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For folks who may not know the significance of having a trainer, what did that actually do for you when you decided to turn pro?
Well, Emo was a 6-time world champion, and so I knew if I listened to him and did some of the things that he asked me to do, just a few things, and with my size and strength, I would be able to become champion.
Tell us what it was like making that decision to go pro. I mean, how did you know you had it in you?
Well, I just had confidence, and you know, growing up in the church, and we learned about faith, we learned about heroes of the Bible, and confidence, and so I felt like, you know, whatever I set my mind to, and that's what we were taught. If we put our mind to it, and put our energy and effort to it, we could do it, pretty much anything.
Right. As you think back, go ahead and open up a little bit. Share with us about that first fight as a professional, and
first. It was a short notice, and it was on ESPN, 1981. James Broad, and James Broad had won the Olympic trials in 1980, and you know, the United States was boycotted the Olympics because of going to Russia.
Right.
And so he had won that, and he probably would have won the Olympics. And here I am, my first fight, and he had about 6 fights, and on ESPN, and I was matched with him in a 6-round fight. I just got tired, and he knocked me out. I was laying down there seeing stars, and it wasn't Vanna White and Wayne Newton either.
This is in 81.
1981.
Now, you were what age at that time?
28.
You were 28.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that would be pretty old, kicking off your professional career.
Sugar Ray Leonard and George Foreman retired at age 28. You know, they made comebacks, but they first retired at age 28. That's late.
Son of a gun. And you actually kicked off your professional career. Now, was that the first big break you got, 81, or did that come later?
Well, first big break was 1984. And they offered me a few dollars to go to London, England, to fight Frank Bruno, in which he was 20-0 with 20 knockouts. He had knocked out every American that come over there. And when I got at Heathrow Airport in London, I asked the reporters, I said, "Where's Bruno? I'm going to knock him out." And they said, "Oh, James, how do you think you can knock Frank out? He's knocked out every American that he's fought." And I said, "Well, my mama said knock him out.
Son of a gun.
And I'm gonna knock him out." And I think if you can convince yourself, if you talk yourself into anything.
Right.
And it all starts with a thought, and then it's a matter of believing, and it's a matter of doing. And I just pumped myself up and took my mind to a different level, and you know, everything was against me. So I still wanted to fight.
Clearly, there's some fights that you're thinking that way. You're thinking, I'm just going to take them out, and you get taken down.
Well, you know, when I look at the Tyson fight, there was still questions in my mind because the media had built Tyson up so much.
Right.
And there were some questions. And when I won the title with Tim Witherspoon, I knew I was going to win that fight, come hell or high water. I took that kind of. The whole thing is about attitude.
Right.
You know.
But both of you all have attitude. I mean, the guy you compete against has incredible.
But you can't have doubts about the moment.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. And that's why I'm going to go out on a limb and pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to win, because they've been there, done that, and they have confidence of a champion.
That's tremendous. Well, you know, year in and year out, there's got to be those times when you're in there trying to prep for that next fight. What are some of the efforts that you went into back in the early 80s to get ready for, let's say, the Frank Bruno fight. Other than having a long flight to get over there, there had to be things you would do to prep for a fight.
The big fights, I would always go to the mountains, and I would look at it as going to the mountaintop. And I would train like a mountain man. And when I came down the hill, my condition would be great, and I believe I would have an edge. I would get away from the family, and just put it all in my brain.
The year you gave yourself to Christ, what share what set the stage for that? Was that something at an early age, or was that something later on? I know you grew up in a Christian household, but being a professional fighter and also being a Christian, that would probably be pretty tough.
You know, one of my duties was to pick up my grandmom and take her to Sunday school and church. And she was my mentor, and she would teach me about Christ and the Bible and all that stuff. So I learned at a very early age about that.
Right, right. You know, so many folks in that instance where it is all about you, you know, training, getting ready for a fight. I mean, clearly having that incredible level of confidence, but also knowing that at times you've got to turn away from some of that self-centered or self-focus and walk a different direction, setting the stage much later for you to become an ordained minister. Albeit we haven't gotten there yet, there's a lot more to get into. That's in 1996, but let's go back on to 1984 after the taking Frank Bruno out. What was your next big break?
Fighting Larry Holmes in Las Vegas.
Okay.
The fight went 12 rounds, got a cut in the fight, stopped. The fight was stopped in the 13th round, I think. And it was a great fight. A lot of people think I won that fight, and it was Las Vegas.
Yeah. That's in 85.
84.
84, okay.
Yeah.
That was later in 84, and of course that really got you on.
So I beat Bruno in May of 84.
Right.
And in November 84, I'm in Las Vegas fighting for the title.
Golly, that same year.
Same year.
That same year. Well, I guess it would have been is it 85 or 86 that that next big break, the opportunity opened up with the 7-day advance. Share with viewers about leading up to that.
I got a call. How that lead up to is in 1985. I got a call from Mike Weaver, his manager, and Mike Weaver was former heavyweight champion of the world. And they called me up. They said, well, Bonecrusher, we got you a fight with Mike in New York in CBS. And when I get to the press conference, I agreed to fight. They said, well, Bone says, when Mike knock you out, he's going to fight the winner of Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks. And I got mad. And to me, mad means make a decision.
Make a decision, great.
And so I says, you just a tune-up. So I knock him out in the first round, and I tuned him up.
It went totally different
First round.
than they planned.
Yeah. First round. And then I get on the airplane. Nobody invite me. I get on the airplane and fly to Las Vegas, where Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks is fighting at the hotel.
Right.
And one of the first people I see, this is 1985, run up to me and say, hey, Bonecrusher, my name is Reverend Al Sharpton. Said, you don't know me. He said, but everybody talking about you knocking out Mike Weaver in the first round, CBS. He said, Don, want to see you. I said, huh? What do you mean? I said, how did he know I'm here? He said, he knows you here.
They're following you. Yeah.
I get up there, and Don said, Bonecrusher. I said, man, we need you to sign an exclusive contract with us. And I'm going to put you in with the winner of Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks. So I got Larry. I said, okay, Reverend Al going to pray on the contract, got to be blessed. And so we did all that. And see, Larry had talked trash about Rocky Marciano, and he was real close to breaking Marciano's record. And Spinks ran around the ring for 15 rounds. And the new heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Spinks.
No.
Now Don don't have a champion.
That was not Don's guy.